Hey, Bo, can you hear me?
Mayor Dixon, I've got you good.
Okay, yeah, well, my microphone's working now. The audio card latched up on me last night.
Did you see my screen there, Todd?
Yeah, I'm seeing your screen.
Awesome. All right, we'll see who else we got here.
Got it. I understand that. Here. Let's do side. Here, let's fill that space.
Mr. Stroop, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's nice to meet you. I'm sharing my screen here. I hope you can see that, and I'm happy to let you take the reins here if you want to drive this. I think you're on as the co-host.
Yeah, if you're going to be attending and you want to drive it, I'm happy to let you do that.
Sure, just send me some direction when we're ready to change screens or scroll down, and I'll try to keep up.
All right. We're a fast moving group over here.
All right, I'll be ready to go.
So we'll give a couple of more minutes here while I get the agenda put on my phone so that I don't lose it.
Jesse, are we going to learn what a dump blind is at this meeting?
We are going to talk about a dumpster blind.
A dumpster blind. Okay,
Yes.
good.
How are you, Cameron?
Good. Hi, hey, Bo. Nice to meet
How are
you.
you? Nice to meet you.
Jay did mention that he might be a little bit late today, so hopefully Don gets here so we have a quorum. What am I talking about? We still have 3 whole minutes.
We have lots of time.
Yeah. You know, the snowy, beautiful mountain just makes me slower. Slows you down, right? Got to take some time to appreciate all this.
But that doesn't make any sense, Jesse, because you're here early. And usually you're a few minutes late. So maybe you're still on Oklahoma time.
Ouch. Ouch, but okay.
Well, sometimes the truth hurts.
It's
you know?
no, I usually flip on at like 2 minutes past. And my trusty secretary records it in the minutes. I'm also usually in a suit and tie in my office calling from Oklahoma City, and I am happy to be more casual today, going from room to room in my house trying to figure out where my office is going to be. Todd, that was a very interesting planning commission meeting last night.
Yeah. And something we may be talking about today could even impact it. So I'm going to bring up something in public comment that, we've got a potential opportunity for.
Okay, great. Hello, Jay. Welcome.
Gonna switch your audio. Sorry for being late.
You are right on time. I'll just wait one more minute for Dawn, and hopefully I did not get confirmation that our applicant would be joining us today, so we'll see. But we do have a quorum, so I'll call us to order at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Looking at the agenda, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? I'll move that we accept the agenda as presented. Hearing a second from Nancy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And agenda item number 3, public comment. I do see that we have some visitors today. We'll let Don get joined in. So I see Mayor Dixon and I see Carolyn Bowers, town manager, and my first time in a meeting with Bo. Hey Don, so we just called to order and accepted the agenda, and we are going to do public comment. Would you like to start, Mayor Dixon?
Yeah, earlier this week, we were made aware of there's a transportation alternatives program, and there are some monies available through this program, but reading through the guidelines, it looks like it'd almost be a perfect fit if we were wanting to, say, relocate the American Discovery Trail off of Ute Pass Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the challenges would be we'd have to have it designed, and we'd have to have a cost estimate done for this, and the draft would have to be submitted by, I believe, March 24th, I believe. I may be wrong on that, but it's March 20 something. Anyway, it would be a 20% match that we'd have to come up with, and I know that Gordon had previously done some work looking at maybe relocating the American Discovery Trail off of Ute Pass Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's an opportunity here, and I wanted to bring it up to this committee, see if it's something that you want to maybe you want the town to maybe try to pursue. It is obviously a fairly short turn, being that the first draft is due in about a month, and yeah, I thought I'd bring it up. If it sounds something that like something we want to try to pursue, we can try to start going for it. It's about, for our region, it looks like roughly 2.7 million per year for the next 3 years, if I read the guide right. And going through the guide, like I say, it looks like we would score, in my opinion, fairly high.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I did look at briefly at the grant application. If I put on my historic hat for just a minute, I think that there's a possibility to do part of that reroute on historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation property, which would make it easy match for funding. So I see a lot of potential synergy here between the town, the foundation, and what would be a new project for the Trails Committee. Lots of winners in this. So if you don't mind, I will assign this to myself. I'll get in touch with Rocco and the folks over at the Trails Committee. And I know that I've done a plan and a budget on a similar project for this with a quick turnaround. And I think that we can easily get this done in that timeline.
Okay. Yeah, just FYI, last night, Planning Commission, for everyone's knowledge, they did identify that town parcel where Old Town Hall used to be as a potential for, say, future staging area. I also think that the original plans that I had seen had the American Discovery Trail relocation actually going through the same area. And so we'll definitely want to coordinate with the Planning Commission.
Absolutely. I think it's a win-win and several options that we haven't had before because of that recent purchase. So I'm happy to report back. I'll do it quickly. And when we decide at our next meeting, we may, instead of going a month, we might just go 2 weeks so that we can pick up the pace for that project.
Yeah, because we would probably want to get it in front of the board if we could, at the early March meeting.
Okay, great. Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Okay, hey, no problem.
Carolyn, did you have comments? Or are you spectator today? Okay, all right. Consent agenda and meeting minutes. Did anyone have any changes to the minutes that were submitted? I saw none. Nancy, you did a great job as always on those. Is there a motion to approve those as submitted? Thank you, Jay. Is there a second? Thank you, Don. All in favor? And motion approves. Old business. So we'll talk about the dumpster blind. And I know Carolyn specifically tuned in to find out what that was. So the town was offered a grant by CWP for making Green Mountain Falls a community that is bear aware and that says that we are basically committed to keeping the bears out of our dumpsters. As we looked at what are the biggest problems in town, is we have several dumpsters behind the post office, near the storage units, which are on leased property by local businesses, but they don't put on their bear bars. It's a constant attack of the bears there, and that's a highly pedestrian trafficked area. So we thought that getting those commercial dumpsters cleaned up in a nice secure dumpster blind would be the best way to spend these funds, or the majority of them. Additionally, there will be signage package that goes with that. And we talked about the possibility of adding a recycling department to that as well. So, Bo, if you don't mind scrolling down to the images that we have for this, and my dog is stuck under the desk. Sorry. Howdy. Come on. Come on. She's raising heck under there.
As long as she didn't eat the pictures.
Right. So here is a site plan of what that dumpster blind would potentially look like. The goal of our group today is to make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees for them to review at the next meeting. So I think we've seen all of this before. Don did some work specifying some materials, which I think are great. He eliminated some electrical needs, which reduced the cost of the project. And Don, do you want to talk us through any of the other changes?
Yeah, my screen's locked up, so I don't have my PDF file to run through this. So I'm just looking at what Bo has up. I presume everybody had a chance to kind of read through that. I know just in general, I was asked to put a pencil to the estimating a cost. And as my process goes, I have to detail the construction process through my mind in order to get an accurate number. In the process of doing that, I was looking at Ron's imagery and I discovered some improvements that at least I thought I would like to see in the project. And in doing that, I wanted to build or design a project that would be virtually maintenance free. One of the things that the town has a challenge with is maintaining the assets that it does have. So in building new ones, I would highly recommend that we build them as maintenance free as possible. In doing so, I spec'd out, galvanized steel, redwood for the pickets, just a gravel overlay finish with no landscaping, no grass. I really would like to see some electrical service there, not only for security, but I've come to understand that the bears, they get used to regular street lighting. But if there's a motion activated light that's in the area, it really does scare them off. And I think it would, discourage the bears from coming and visiting. If anybody had any other questions. Oh, one other thing is the design showed a petition between the recycle and the trash. And I didn't see any need for that. So in my specs, I eliminated the interpetition. The other thing was eliminating the fourth tree. I know there was discussion, and I'm a tree lover. I love trees. In fact, when I go on hikes, I hug my favorite trees. But anyway, in order to take out the other three and form a foundation for the pad, we would no doubt destroy some of the main roots of that fourth tree. And so it's not likely the tree would survive. So in my plan, I did call for taking out all the trees. And in that light, I think I did expand the length of the pad by 5 feet. And we can always use the extra space and doesn't add that much cost to the project. Any other questions?
So Don, as usual, an amazing job, with all the detail and everything worked out. However, we got to look at how much our grant is for. And the total grant award is $53,000. So part of that grant is $18,000 for the wildlife receptacles, $5,000 for signage. So we need as a committee to figure out what we're going to present to the board. I mean, we can present this and say, this is the gold standard. This is everything we want. Town, you come up with the extra money. Or we can sort of scale this if we can, some of it down a little bit. I know, I see your face, Don. I know, I know it's hard, but we need to figure out money, and numbers. And like I said, our total grant award is 53,000. So, but another thing that Becky had sent to Jesse and I was there's also a opportunity to do a grant for just the recycling part. It is a small grant. It's like 30K max. Maybe we look at putting the recycling piece off until and then look at getting this grant. It's due in April. I mean, that's another possibility to look at some possible cost. But you know, the numbers are just, they're not, we can't present this to the board without some other options. Let's just
Yeah.
put it that way.
So I'm going to just tee off what you said, Nancy.
Sure.
Because that other grant is available, and and we could potentially receive $30,000. I think our idea here is right. We've wished for the best, the thing that's going to be maintenance free, and the thing that's going to look the best, including some really killer dumpsters from the facility or from the dumpster company that are actually bear proof. So we've done the gold star, and I think this possible other grant can help us get all the way there.
Right.
So my thought here is that we take, let's recommend the gold star, but let's say that alternately, if we need to cut things from the budget, that we could, and Don, you tell me if I'm wrong here. I think we could cut the electric. I think we could cut the apron for the recycling. I think we go ahead and we build the dumpster blind to the scale, to the size that we've recommended here. I think that we go ahead and do the tree removals. And Carolyn, nobody likes cutting down a tree. Unfortunately, we've got beetle infested trees there that have to come down. And so they're going to come down with or without the dumpster blind. I just wanted to get that out there. So back to what I was saying, if we cut out light fixtures, electricity, and the apron, and build it to the size that we have recommended, I think that we can cover all those things with the recycling grant and potentially have enough money left in that grant to prepay, a certain amount of times recycling service.
If I may, I'd just like to point out that right above the grand total, we show a 20% estimation error of $9,140, just for consideration.
Yeah, Don likes to build in those buffers, which is good. I mean, you're always going to have those oopses. So that's great. But yeah, I agree with you, Jesse, because I was doing some numbers, and I think if you cut out the lighting, that's like $11,000 or $10,000. And I don't know what the footprint would be if you put it back to what we had before. But yeah, we want to do everything, but we just need to find, we need to go out and get some more money.
Yeah, I think building it this size so that we're prepared for the future to complete the project whenever the money comes along, and we're not just waiting, we're actively seeking it.
Right.
In the end, gets us exactly what we wanted, just not all at the beginning.
Yeah, well, the question that comes up then is, can the electrical installation and lighting fixtures be retrofitted? Do they have to be underneath the concrete pad, or are they things that can run in the gravel alongside?
Well, the concrete pad would be only for the recycling.
Yeah,
part.
the concrete pad wouldn't come in until we did the recycling.
Okay, I hadn't matched it up to the details.
But I agree with you, Jay. That's a good question. I mean, is it going to cost more to wait to put in that service? I don't know. Ask the expert, Don.
And then we'll come to you, Becky.
There would be some additional costs for coming in afterwards
Yeah.
and, digging and and installing the lines. That's why it's ideal to run, if you're doing underground wiring, to do it as you're building. That way you're not messing things up, adding it afterwards. Not to mention, you know, I'm calling for the light posts to be set extra deep as opposed to, 48 inches as opposed to 24 inches on the regular fence posts, and little things like that. But it just depends. If you really were serious about lighting the space, you could do some things that were, you know, that didn't add a lot of cost to it, but prepared for the addition of the electric and the lighting.
So we could run our underground conduit as part of this project and come along later and pull wire.
Yeah.
Okay. And Becky, you had a comment?
I wonder if we could consider solar. If that would reduce some of that need for that underground conduit and the actual installation of the electrical. I think that it would also help to save some money and ongoing costs.
Yeah, I can't answer. I'm not involved with solar, have not been. I'd have to let somebody else answer that question.
Yeah, I'll say that the electrical runs to the lighting poles and the lights and everything else is the same, whether we're solar or we're coming off of CSU. That amount doesn't change. The thing with solar is then we're adding the cost of the panels and the system and the footprint.
Oh, I think I was just more had in mind like actual solar light fixtures. I know that they have made them for other illumination of areas. I bet we could find some solar that don't require a giant panel or a system, but that are actually just solar generated light, motion sensor lights. I'm happy to look into that piece and share it with you if I find anything.
Well, the good news is here is if we suggest that potential cuts from this budget include the electrical and the apron to reduce the cost of this, then we have time to plan how to spend the recycling grant when we get it, and we can look at those options. It's a great idea, Becky. Don, do you see anything else in here that we could list as an alternate?
Of course.
And I know it's painful. It's like asking you to do surgery, and I'm sorry, but
I know, when you wear two different hats, when I put on the construction hat, I'm always looking at ways to save money. But when we're preparing to present the project, you've got to cover, I like to be conservative in anything that we might encounter. There's some fluff in those numbers, but how much I can't say. And I feel that the 20% estimation error would certainly cover any overruns we might encounter. I think you kind of pegged it as far as what we can leave off, the lighting, the apron. I might ask, is the concrete pad necessary at this point in time?
no, it's not.
So we could leave off the concrete pad, just have it gravel. And then if we get the other grant, we can go back in with ease to form and pour the pad.
And Becky, is there any potential help anywhere with the cost of the tree removals? I know we've talked through if Public Works could assist with that, or if Colorado Springs Utilities would cover that. Have you learned anything new there?
I did have a creative idea, and I haven't yet received an answer back on it, but it occurs to me that we are getting ready to embark upon a right-of-way fire mitigation project with CUS. That is in the town's right away. So I think that it would, help to accomplish the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee's goals in that project, as well as support this project. If we could do it that way, it certainly alleviates a large amount of money.
Yeah, and I think as those have been deemed as diseased trees, that's right up their alley. So that's great news. Nancy, do you want to form this into a motion? You want me to take a stab at it?
Well, I'll let you stab away, Jesse.
Okay, so let's recommend this dumpster blind project as shown, with alternates to alleviate the budget if necessary, to be removal of electrical, concrete pad, and apron. And tree removal. Did I miss anything, Don?
No,
Would you like to second that so I know I didn't crush your heart?
I will, if we can, that tree removal alone is what, $6,500?
Yes, yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be a
Yes.
dream come true. But
Yeah.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Definitely.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
so Dawn, are you going to, so we have the gold standard and now should we have also the alternative to recommend, those numbers when I do the advice memo?
Jesse, how would you like to present that to the
Yeah.
board? Just as a number item?
Yeah,
Probably
I think
just a
so,
number,
because we're
yeah.
really not changing anything on the site plan. And I know the board can use their imagination. If we're cutting electrical, then those lights are gone. So I think just presenting an alternate budget. I'd like to do but I think the way I'd like you to present it, Don, is the budget as is, and then alternate 1 is minus the electrical, alternate 2 is minus the concrete pad, alternate 3. That way, when Becky does her magic, she can say we have enough to keep item 4 in. So we'll give her, rather than just cutting 20,000 out of the project, if she can keep a line item in, she will.
Yeah, and I would like to ask that we also include the cost of those, the receptacles for the parks in that, as well as the cost of the construction of that, the fabrication of that dumpster, just so that it's super clear. Those are 2 components of the project that are pretty critical to this fitting the intent of the grant.
Would you supply those to Don and I through email?
I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Well, and then I'm going to need them also to do the advice memo. So Don, you have homework. And then you can send it to me. But I think the next board meeting isn't until March. Is that correct?
March 7th.
March 7th. So, okay.
Yeah, and this group, we just decided earlier that we would meet again this month.
Oh,
So,
that's right.
so yeah, we can approve that. We can look at that then, give it our final blessing. Anything else on the dumpster blinds?
Thank you, everybody, for helping with this. It's such a cool project.
Carolyn, did you have a question? Okay, so we're going to move on to item 5B, the Stilling Basin update. Our previous PRT member, Ron Gans, did some great renderings of what that park could potentially look like. So I asked this group, what do we do next with these renderings? I think that we start doing some community engagement. And I think based on the recommendation, or based on the complaints that were brought up last night at the Planning Commission meeting about the guardrails, it's a good time to engage the community and say, here's how we're going to clean up that mess. Or this is what we're thinking, and get some community buy-in and some support.
I think Ron has given us a really good foundation that I mean, some great visuals. It'll be really nice to present this to the community, and so they can visualize and see what the potential is, but also getting their input. I do have there are the two different settings. One's against a private retaining wall,
Right.
and the other one is right up on your screen right now, where it's not messing with anyone's private property. I'm wondering if we take that rendering away that's against the private property and just present this one, or do you want to present both of them?
I would like to present the one that, Bo, I'm gonna have to take a Dramamine.
Just tell me when to stop, sorry.
Okay. If you'll go up one screen. So here we're calling this option 2. I
Right.
think I'd like to present this as option 1 because it presents the easiest path to success. But I would like to show option what is now 1 as option 2. I'd like to present that because I think it gives us an opportunity to talk to that landowner. We need to be engaged with them anyway, as the sidewalk is going to be right up. And we need their buy-in and support anyway. So, what is not shown as option 3 that's just sort of jostled around in my head is a combination of both things, and maybe even a more contemporary bench down here on this lower level. So I want to talk to Ron if you guys have interest in that as a third option. I think that we can get some financial support for looking at that. But I love the landscaping. Bo, if you can find one of the renderings that's got the landscaping there on the corner. That's nice there. So I did have, if you guys remember last year, I had Carla Chapman put together a list of plant materials that were, that would be nice in our parks, the right climate for them and low maintenance. So we have that list of plant materials. I think we could do some work on what exactly these plants are, making that a really nice spot. And, and talk through in community comment about whether, this picture looks great with the nice green lawn, but that is money and upkeep. And what if we looked at this as a xeriscape project with a little bit of landscaping on the corner to sort of soften it? I think these are all things that we can talk about during the community engagement.
Well, and I think another thing is we lost all those shade trees. We lost the shade. And so how are we providing that shade back? Do we provide the shade back? Maybe that's a community input also. But that was the biggest thing, was those trees being taken out, the shade getting lost, and the aesthetic, of course. But
I have to ask, in that rendering, the grassy area sort of blends down into the containment area. Is that viable? Does the containment area have to be impervious material to retain water, or because it's going to be done, you're going to dig against that at various times to remove mud or debris that gets dumped into that. That has to be a workable surface. And at some point, it has to blend into that hillside structure.
Yeah, that's exactly why, Jay, I was thinking xeriscape because of that. But
Yeah.
I think a mixture of xeriscape and adding back some of what was unfortunately taken away, which was some shade trees. And I know that in that list of approved landscaping trees that there are some fast growing willows like we have down at Pool Park.
And we have to be careful because remember, they told us you could only plant trees so far away from the basin itself because they didn't want roots to get into it. So we also need to look at that piece too.
So are we all in agreement that we're ready to move this to community engagement?
Yes.
Where all of these things will get discussed. So let's put someone besides me in charge of scheduling that. Looking for a hand to come up. Jay is muted, but he's saying he would absolutely love to do it.
Yeah,
I've been taking lip reading.
you read, yeah, you could read my lips fairly well. I was feeling, well, clearly I haven't done the yeoman's work that Don did on the other projects. It's something that would probably, I would not have a great deal of time to get into that until April, but I think we have enough uncertainty in filling in the xeriscape options and some of the other background material that bringing this to a community forum, probably first with the board, and then with a broader forum of people, would be feasible in April.
Yeah, I think Bo probably has a recipe to do that. Bo and Becky. So if you'll just reach out to them after this meeting, they'll probably take over and tell us what we need to do next.
Sure thing.
Yeah, Bo is already writing things down. I can see his hands moving under the table.
Are you sure that's what he's doing?
Oh, Nancy,
Writing.
not again. We're not going down this road with you again today, Nancy.
Oh, honey.
I think I'm going to say that is the end of our discussion on item 5B for stilling basins. Thank you, Jay and Bo, for moving us into community engagement, which I think it's a great time based on what we were hearing last night at Planning Commission. Nancy, would you take us into item 5C and do the presentation for our 2023 goals?
Of course. So at our last meeting, I had taken the goals, our 2022 goals that we hadn't done during 2022, highlighted them in yellow, and then also had the task of going back through all the old minutes from 2022 to see if there was things that we had brought up to that we were talking about a PRT master plan and things that were like, okay, let's put this is something that the PRT could be responsible for. So I took those two lists, put them together, and what you see on the screen right now is the combination of those two lists. That's a lot of goals. We're a small but mighty committee, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get through all of those goals. We can go through them individually and see where we're at with each one of them and say, I don't know, we could do a yay or a nay for 2023 and keep them on the back burner for 2024. So how does that sound? Go through individually?
I think that last night Ann Esch made a comment that I want to share in case you all didn't hear it, but she applauded maybe didn't applaud, but she said that our group was such a successful committee, really paid us some nice compliments for the synergy and the work that we do together. So I wanted to make sure that you all heard that we were recognized for that. And while we did accomplish the majority of our goals last year, we're very nimble in taking on new projects and new opportunities based on grant monies that become available or based on problems. Like, we suggested last night that we beautified the Olathe area. So I think our ability to take on new projects and move quickly makes us a great working committee. I think these are absolutely the right goals for 2023. Some of them we have to hit. Some of them are goals that can move to next year if they have to, but let's stay nimble for the other tasks.
Okay, so if there's no other questions or no other additions or edits to it, I guess we could have a motion to accept these goals for 2023.
So moved.
All right. Did I just move?
I moved and you seconded.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yep. And Don's
Right.
already voting yes.
Got it.
And when we accept a project like the recycle grant, we'll add that, we'll just do what we did last year, is continue to add things to our goals list, and we'll keep reviewing it. We did a great job with this last year, and this is a great team. So
It's a very dynamic list. I mean, it changes through the year as things change.
Mhm.
All right, that was easy.
Did we vote? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And I have the agenda on my phone in case this happened. So we did have a PRT board application that came through. Don, thank you for suggesting that Phil apply to our group. Bo, could you go to that application?
Yeah, and Dawn, could you sort of fill in some of the blanks?
Yeah, Don, why don't you introduce us to Phil with him not here? Tell us the dirt first.
Obviously,
Yeah, we just get a clone of Don then. That's even better.
hey,
Let's go.
yeah, I had an opportunity to meet Phil and work with him on the Gazebo Bridge project. He's obviously professionally qualified. He still practices, but personality-wise, 5 stars. He's easy to talk to. He's not overbearing with his ideas. He's very open to hearing what you have to say, and then he has a retort of his professional opinion. So I would be more than happy to have him on the committee, and I already know that I can work well with him.
Well, if he's good with Dawn, he's good with me.
I will say that he's already shown a lot of dedication by going out and doing and providing some engineering services to us on the bridge and gazebo project, which in my mind says he's one of us.
He works for nothing? Is that what you're saying?
We are public servants. And he has stepped up and said, I'll be one with you. And we love that. And he brings a great skill set. So really, what a powerful group we have put together in the last 2 years, with construction project managers, myself and Don, Jay's Nollis, an engineer. Ron is still working in the background doing blueprints for us. So kudos to everyone for pulling the right people into this group. I'm not sure if we accept him as with him not being here, if we want to wait till the next meeting. What do you guys think? Do you know if he'll be able to attend this time meeting generally, Don? Did you talk about that?
Yes, he ask a lot of questions, and I sent him more than enough material as to how we operate and what we do. And he didn't voice any concern about being able to attend meetings.
Well, we can always, if we're doing a meeting in 2 weeks, that would be the 1st of March. If we do another meeting the 1st of March, I did invite him to this meeting and gave him the Zoom link and everything, but I did it this morning, so he probably didn't have a whole lot of time. But if we can, reach out earlier and invite him for the March 1st meeting, sort of give him a heads up, put it on his calendar, then we can, have him available then probably.
Perfect. If you guys don't mind, then I'd like to continue this to our next meeting, and we'll keep that meeting agenda fairly light because we want to get our recommendations to the BOT, and we're getting into the season where meeting twice a month probably makes a lot of sense for our group if you guys are willing.
Okay. So the
Sounds
next
good.
meeting would be, the next meeting would be March 1st, and then the one after that would be the 15th.
Correct.
Thank you,
Okay.
Nancy. Any correspondence, Bo?
No correspondence.
Reports. Bo, would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
I'm Bo Iad. I'm the new town clerk. It's nice to meet you all. It's my first meeting with you guys, and it's great to be here.
Welcome aboard.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Yep, appreciate having you for sure. Does anyone have any reports they'd like to present?
Nothing at this time.
I had just written down that the phase 2 the grant had been submitted and accepted. I think we find out in July. So that's good news that we got accepted for, at least the grant application got accepted. And I'm gonna put on my trail ambassador hat. And I did order some t-shirts because I have 5 new trail ambassadors sign up. Whoop, whoop. And now, Jesse, now you're in town.
I'm there.
Okay.
Oh.
And so I got new t-shirts coming. I mean, they look like the old t-shirts, but at least I had to order some new ones. And this time the town's paying for them and not me. That's exciting. And I also put up a Trail Ambassador Facebook page, which we'll see if I'm going to keep that going. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just trying to do the social media thing also. So that's
No
it.
complaints, all praises on the Trails Ambassadors Facebook page.
Well, I haven't even posted yet. I did one post. Yes, I did.
Lots of things to praise in that group. I'm looking through here. I thought on the version of the agenda that I had that there was, item 6B. I skipped right over it because I was looking at a different
Uh-oh.
version on my phone. So
Yeah,
we'll go back to
that's one of
that,
the big
which
ones.
is so there's a grant available for making repairs to the gazebo. And the first step of that is having an assessment done on it. So I think that's great job for Dawn, Phil, and I to work on now that I'm in town more. So if it's okay with the rest of the group, I'll assign that to Dawn, Phil, and myself. We'll read through the grant application and make sure that we're looking at the potential repairs through the lens of what they're willing to provide. And we'll try to present something on that. When is that one due?
You're talking about the historic structure assessment grant?
Correct.
Perfect. That occurs on a rolling basis, so there's no deadline for that. I would say that in looking at what a timeline for doing that project would be, if awarded the CDBG grant to repair the bridge, it may make it difficult during this summer. And I think that if awarded that project, we probably look at a timeline for doing those repairs so that we are not impacting the most critical components of the summer, but still have an opportunity to complete it. I don't think that it's going to be as much of a big project for the CDBG grant as the lake project was this last year. I hope that it won't take that amount of time. However, I think that we should coordinate those two kind of together so that we're not making it difficult, so that people aren't having to take a boat out to the gazebo to do the assessment.
You know that I will look at things through that lens and try to get it done quickly and efficiently.
Well, but the lake will be lowered, so they can just walk.
Yeah, so let me know how I can support with that. I'm pretty familiar with that process and I'm happy to help.
Okay, I think we'll do an initial assessment, present that at our next regular meeting, and let you steer us from there.
Thank you so much.
Becky, I have a question.
Mhm.
Are you looking at state historical funds for grants?
Yes, so this initial grant, this historic structure assessment, it's actually done from History Colorado, also known as the State Historic Fund. The assessment is the thing that they really like to see that would position the structure for additional funding. So it's kind of the first phase in their application process. Applicants who have that assessment done are wildly more successful. These grants are pretty competitive. But I think that having, the designation already exists for on the national register, or at least on the state register, that helps a lot too. And then this is kind of just that next step that they like to see. They want to make sure that if they're going to fund a rehabilitation of a historic property, that it is being done from, through a historic lens.
That's interesting. Maybe there's a lot of state designated structures that have been ignored or abandoned, but so basically it's more than just having your structure on the registry. It's then having a red flag. Hey, look at us. We need some.
Absolutely. And it's a really great project. I know that the projects that I've witnessed that have been unsuccessful for funding are because the historic structure assessment came back and those structures were beyond repair. They were at such a state of dilapidation that you could knock them over with a fire hose, essentially. I don't think that our gazebo is in that position, but I think it's a fine line of walking between knowing that we need the repairs and not having it too far gone. And I think we're at a perfect time to be able to be on this road.
Yeah. Yep.
No.
And we want to prevent further decay and dilapidation.
Now I can tell you from experience that this is the type of construction that will cost more than standard construction because of the standards that have to be met on a state basis. And if your property's on a federal register, then it's that as well.
Yeah.
Now I've been out of it for years, but I do know that there's federal grants that are available, usually matching grants. Are the state funds, are they matching grants?
They are, yeah, for municipalities, it's usually a 25% match. I think that this would be an expensive project, so we'd want to be able to pursue some funding to match that. So we'd want to look at what that ends up looking like, how it would impact the budget, if there's capital to be able to do this. Ideally, if we were to get the historic structure assessment done in 2023, then we'd be positioned to be able to pursue funding from the state historic fund. I think that we have, it's more local. The buy-in's a little bit better there. So doing that, I think that either, whether it ends up being state historic funds or federal funds, those are going to require bringing the structure up to the Secretary of the Interior standards for historic preservation. And that's where those costs come in or are elevated. But regardless, we're going to need to be able to do some capital planning for 2024 to ensure that we're able to accomplish this in a timely fashion.
Well, Becky, I'd just be glad to help you on any input from the historical perspective. I have had some professional experience in those projects.
Perfect. And I'm really excited about your new potential committee member. I think he's going to bring a wealth of knowledge into this as well. So nice work, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing nothing else on the agenda that we need to cover. If no one has anything else, I will adjourn us at 4:54 p.m.
What? We got done in an
Mhm.
hour?
Yep, that's pretty
Wow.
good. Pretty good.
We should have put more on the agenda, I guess.
An hour is nice
It is nice.
because your jokes
Okay.
Wait, what?
get a little scarier
Yeah,
the longer we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we take it to an hour and 20 minutes, we may get, we may have to include some bleeping.
Well, you know what? I'm a little outnumbered here, huh? Okay, give me a break.
Right, Given. I appreciate working with all you guys so much. It's fun and we get a lot done. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Stay warm.
If Becky or Bo are still on, I would like to talk to them. Follow up, I'll call you. Do you want me to call you directly, or do you want me to just continue on this? What's the
I'm
best
happy
way?
to stay on.
Yeah, just stay on.
Okay.
Bo, if you want to pause or stop the recording,
Sure thing.
and Jay and I can stay on. Bo and I are in different locations, so this is probably the best platform.
Becky, it looks like you're in a yacht.
That's my living
And-
room.
Oh,
Okay,
I-
so
no, it's a yurt.
you've got-
Those fancy, yes.
All
All right, bye, y'all. Before I say anything else, Dom.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, see you all. Okay, well, Bo, I'd like to ask, do you have a timeline for that, for the public input process? Since I allowed myself to be, I jumped in before I got voluntold that I would be.
Oh, yeah. Which public input process?
Well, what I'm going to be doing is following up on developing public input for the Stilling Basin landscaping. There'll probably be some changes to Ron's presentation, small changes or some details added, but I've heard and seen little bits on the Facebook site, which will suggest that people are going to be much more active in following up or commenting on the completion of the Stilling Basin, and the landscaping around it will be much more significant or more important for people. I assume that the public input will follow the next Board of Trustees meeting. So I thought April would be a viable time period, but want to confirm that.
Yeah,
Is there any
Let me
other?
look into requirements around that. I just feel like I'm too new to say without looking into
Okay,
it.
that's fine. That's
I
perfect.
have some info to weigh in on that
You got
because
that, Becky, all right?
yeah, well, and here's the thing, as soon as that Iron Mountain's able to remobilize and get stuff going, that's when we need to be prepared to be able to have a really good concept of what we want to accomplish. Because while that equipment's still there, they can do that preliminary groundwork of the elevations and the grading, and